One thing is for certain about Major League Baseball's 2020 season: whatever form it takes, if any at all, will look considerably different than the standard, pre-coronavirus variety. That likely means the season will see fewer games, with those games being played in empty ballparks that wouldn't necessarily house the home team in question.
We reported last week on one proposal in MLB circles that would see teams split between 3 hubs, located in Phoenix, Arizona, Arlington, Texas, and St. Petersburg, Florida. Should that scenario come to pass, the league could assign 10 teams per hub, splitting up the divisions so that all the East, Central, and West teams are located in one area. USA Today's Bob Nightingale recently laid out a similar alignment, with one tweak: the Atlanta Braves being placed in the Central hub, while the Pittsburgh Pirates were in the East hub.
Here's that same information in a digestible graphic.
Because we are nothing if not curious, we decided to fire up our copy of Outside the Park Baseball 21 and simulate a season using those alignments. You might recall that we did something similar back when the proposal du jour involved just 2 sites. Before we get to the results, let's hit on some of the logistical tweaks we made heading into the season.
Got it? Good. Let's move on to the results, beginning with a division-by-division look.
One theme you'll notice here is the prevalence of ties. In the East alone, you have 3 teams tied for that final playoff spot: the Philadelphia Phillies, the New York Yankees, and the Washington Nationals. The Phillies ended up claiming that spot, for the record.
The most surprising developments in the East were the Boston Red Sox winning the division, albeit with the 5th best record in the sport, and the Pittsburgh Pirates, yes, the Pittsburgh Pirates, willing their way into a playoff spot. Good job, virtual Derek Shelton. Those teams were joined in the postseason by the Tampa Bay Rays. Keep that in mind for later.
Over in the Central, the biggest shocker is the poor performance of the Chicago Cubs, who had them finishing within 3 games of both the Detroit Tigers and the Kansas City Royals. Ouch. The Minnesota Twins, who entered the year as the favorites in the real-world American League Central, finishing under 500 also qualifies as a surprise.
The 4 playoff teams from the Central were otherwise who you would expect: Cleveland, the St. Louis Cardinals, Atlanta Braves, and Milwaukee Brewers. The Chicago White Sox and Cincinnati Reds, 2 of the offseason's most aggressive clubs, each finished at least a handful of games beyond a playoff spot.
We noted there were going to be some more ties in this simulation. Here you have it, with the Houston Astros, San Francisco Giants, and Los Angeles Angels finishing deadlocked for the final 2 postseason spots in the division. The Angels and Astros ended up claiming them.
Those clubs were joined in the postseason by the Los Angeles Dodgers, of course, and the San Diego Padres, who were big winners in our last simulation.
Now, onto the playoffs.
In lieu of the usual league championship setup, we'll just note that the Final 4 included the Dodgers, Red Sox, Angels, and Rays. The Dodgers and Rays prevailed, and went on to play a 6-game World Series, the Andrew Friedman Bowl, if you will. The Rays ended up winning out, notching the first championship in the franchise's history.
That's all for team-level performances. What about individuals? Let's get to it.
Join us again next week, when we use OOTP to find out what happens when half the league is stationed on the moon.
R.J. Anderson joined CBS Sports in 2016. He previously wrote for Baseball Prospectus, where he contributed to 5 of the New York Times best-selling annuals. His work has also appeared in Newsweek and Full Bio.